Hello, Facebook community. Welcome. So right now I'm currently in a space that is not my normal space, so I'm kind of getting used to the lighting and everything of that nature. But I wanted to welcome you for Mindful Mondays. And today I am really excited to bring on a special guest, Miss Sarah Proffitt Espinoza. And so Sarah and I found each other, for many of you know, she's been on the Facebook group for a while, and she's an intuitive life coach. And we found each other in Nicaragua by divine intervention. And it was really amazing because Sarah actually was on this panel. We were doing this entrepreneurial basically weekend getaway to helping people find their passion. And Sarah jumped on and she was talking a lot about mindfulness and her mindfulness-based practices, which was amazing. And so today, Mindful Monday is all about giving you the tools to help you better connect to yourself, to help you feel more focused, to help you feel more grounded, and to really be able to walk into whatever you have planned for the rest of your week, feeling confident, feeling rested, feeling at ease, and feeling really connected to your highest self. And that's really what this health conscious vitality path is all about. It's about connecting you deeper to yourself so that you can really feel grounded. Hey, Jen, good morning. I'm excited to bring on Sarah today, and we're going to talk about energetic blockages. The real issue here is that we are all energy, right? Jen knows this, I'm sure. Those kids are having energy. Her husband has energy. Your roommates have energy. There's always this energy being passed right around us. And so today we're going to talk a little bit more about how do we become aware of this without becoming too affected by it? How do we create energetic boundaries? And how do we begin to tap deeper into this subtle energy that is really, truly having an effect on all of our lives in one way, shape, or form or the other? So I'm excited to bring Miss Sarah on. Let's see. Here we go. Dun-na. There it is.
Hi.
Hey, girl. Hey.
I'm in a new space too.
Are you? Where are you?
I'm at my dad's house.
Oh, I can see. You got a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Generally, you don't have that many pictures around.
No, I don't really hang pictures up, but I don't think there's any. No kid pictures of me over here. They're on the other side.
So you're in America right now.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. What are you doing back home?
Just visiting with Luna.
Oh, nice. How has it been?
Yeah. It's been nice. It's like typical Florida weather. Like it was super cold, like 39 degrees when we first got here, and then like 2 days later, like 80 degrees.
Oh, wow. I'm kind
So
of
you're
I'm kind of jealous though. I mean, it's not as warm as Nicaragua, of course, but like I'm a little bit jealous because it's been freaking cold here in California. I'm like avoiding the cold for 2 years. It's definitely made me a super big baby when it comes to like dealing with weather.
I know. That's how I was like when it was like 39, I was like, we're not going outside.
Right? I didn't bring enough clothes for this.
Yeah, I'm like, I have a flannel. Like, that's it. Like,
So funny. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that you're participating so much, and you're such a really valued member of the community. I do want to just let you know that I really
oh,
appreciate you and anything. I know that you have a lot of different rituals that you do. I'm on your Facebook page as well, and I love watching whenever you pull out the crystals or whenever I see, you're talking about your rituals with the moons. Talk about for a moment. Let's talk about this new moon, right?
yes.
I'm curious before we get started in kind of our energetic practices, because I feel like we are so much controlled by the moon, whether we're aware of it or not, or influenced, maybe not controlled, but influenced by the moon. I'm curious, what did you end up doing for your new moon ceremony, and what was the theme that kind of came up for you?
So I did a new moon ceremony, and like I usually do fire. Like I always try to bring in fire. Like I try to bring in all the elements, whether it be like water, fire, the earth. And this one I did it with a friend, and we had a big fire pit, and we wrote out these intentions. And this friend of mine, she's been trying to let go of an ex-husband that actually passed away, and she energetically hadn't actually like released him. Like they had already been like divorced before he died, but then when he died, she didn't actually energetically like release him.
Mm,
And so that is what, this new moon and like this transition we're in now is like, we're actually, they said we're in like we were in a 10-year period and it's ending right now. And so it's like really emotional, where it's a Pisces, right?
Yep.
The new moon. So it's like, it was really watery and emotional. And like, I know for me, like, because it was either the opposite of like you were super emotional or you were just totally grounded. Like that was like, I think the energies of the moon. And for me, I was just totally grounded. And for her, she was like complete opposite. And so it was good to come together and we grounded down, we did some meditation, and then we just burned the hell out of all of these intentions that we made. And
Oh.
so that's spiritual.
Wow, that sounds so powerful. It's interesting. I always generally bring in fire as well. And this new moon, I didn't. It was really interesting. We were really sitting in this energy of, because you're right, I didn't know about the 10 years, but I knew that like the end of
Yeah.
Pisces, right? So this Pisces was the last new moon, and it was the end of the
Yeah.
astrological year. And I was literally thinking about where I was a year ago and all of the lessons, like finding harmony with where I am now, and one thing that we were
Yeah.
talking about, I had a goddess circle, and one thing that we were talking about is the story of not enough and how it's
Yeah.
been this
Talking about that too.
theme. Say what?
We were talking about that
Were
too.
you? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because literally I feel like it's this theme that's been this, it's the shadow side of the divine masculine. And it's the shadow side of this need to do more, need to be more, need to have more, don't have enough, don't. And it's like, and it's crept into our consciousness. And we continue to say this story of not enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough community. I don't have enough love. Whatever it is, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough, whatever. And it's this whole idea that like we as women, we're like, you know what, we're going to come together and tap into our divine feminine and allow
Yeah.
ourselves to be fully enough with where we are. And it's not even about being like over enough. It's not like I have way more than I need. I'm way abundant, and abundance is great as well, but it's like I am enough. And what part of your
Yeah.
life, what part, because we have so many, the story of I am not enough runs rampant in all different areas and aspects. So can we pick one area to choose to rewrite that story? And
Yeah.
that was kind of our theme, this new moon ceremony was so powerful.
Yeah. I had like one of my intentions was like it was let go of old stories but rewrite new ones, because
Yes.
I have a tendency to let go of old stories. Like I'm really good at letting go now of these limiting beliefs and old stories, but then I don't replace them. And then it's like this stagnant energy of like I have let it go, but I haven't actually moved on because I have nothing new to replace it with.
Yeah.
And that's that I have like a lot of like this conflicting, like, okay, I've let it go, great, but now I need to come up with my actual belief that I have now. And
Yes.
so that's been something that I'm working on. It's like, okay, yeah, I let it go, but now what? Like I have to come up with something new. I can't just leave it like blank, because then an old story will just creep back in again. And so like that's what I've been working on, is just like making sure I'm replacing with a new.
And I love that you talked about how there's this stagnation of energy. Since we're going to be talking about energy and energetic blockages, it's something that I've been working a lot with my clients on. It's so funny because in the beginning, I was starting just with nutrition. I was just a nutritionist. I would focus on food. I would focus on getting rid of this and changing this and supplementing with this. And now
Yeah.
the majority of my work that my clients have, whether it's in physical transformation, mental, emotional, or even career, I'm working with a lot of women on career and finding their divine passion in life. And so much of it is about the story. It's about the story and the vibration of words. And like one of the tangible, it's so funny because I give clients 3 little tiny things to walk away with after each session that they can start to implement so that they feel better. And one
Yeah.
of the things is being aware of the words, the vibration of words. And so all of the buts, like, yeah, but, or I would like this, but we change it to and then all of the
Yeah.
shoulds or need tos, we change to
Mm-hmm.
wants or would likes. And if you don't want to and you wouldn't like it, then don't do it. Don't like
Yep.
realize that your words are creating this vibration that you're feeling inside that's being reflected outside, and then it's coming back to you. And it's this whole energy of like you change your
Yeah.
energy literally right here, right now by mindfully changing and choosing the words instead of the words that society has put into you, or the media or whatever. You're consciously choosing whatever words to help you stay connected and grounded and create the vibration that you want to feel.
Oh my gosh, we're on the same path. I had this conversation with a client like 2 days ago. I was like literally on the phone and I was like, watch your language. And she was like, what? And I was like, we're not even gonna focus on the thoughts anymore because that obviously isn't clicking. Watch your language.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'll just call you out every single time. Every single time I hear a limiting belief, I'll just say, watch your language.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even realize these things. Like I talked with her and for 15 minutes she told me 5 different stories, all like negative in negative contexts. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you realize you just spent 15 minutes hopping from 5 different stories talking about negativity, right? And she just was like, no. I'm like, okay, like watch the language. You know when you're complaining.
Yeah.
Just just don't. Just say, okay, I'm gonna switch the conversation now.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And the more of us who become aware of that, like whoever's watching today, this is an opportunity
Yeah,
for you to practice this. This is not something that happens overnight. I mean, I don't know about you,
no.
Sarah, but I've been working on this and I'm still working on it. And every time I'm
Yeah,
reminded by a beautiful being like you or someone else, and that was kind of what the circle
yeah,
was. A lot of these new moon circles or women's circles, we like get together, we talk, we write intentions and stuff, but there's not really oftentimes an actual tangible takeaway. And that was something that we
yeah.
really worked on was like, hey, be the change. So you
Mhm.
rewrite your own not enough story. And then when you hear someone else saying, I'm not enough, like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
not good enough for this job, I don't know, then maybe you hold space for them and you say, really? I see your divine beauty and I see that you are worth so much more than you tell yourself so often. And then we begin to
yeah.
reflect this positive change in one another. And that's how great change is. Hey, Lauren's on. What's up, Lauren? Okay, so I want to get into, now that we're kind of talking about energy, now that we're kind of talking about thoughts, tell us a little bit more about this energy and these energetic blockages. Like it's something that I love to work with clients on, and I'm so excited to talk about your way, your pattern, and what you do
Yeah.
and how you relate this to people, to the average Joe.
So I have been studying a lot. Well, like my background is in psychology. And so when I was studying, like, so basically energetic blocks, energetic boundaries have a lineage. And so you have a boundary that you create physically and energetically. Like when you're standing too close to someone in a line, you back away a little bit because they're kind of like in your physical space. But that can happen with our energy as well when someone gets into your energetic space. And so, what I found with boundaries is that if we have a trauma, the trauma creates an old story, and the old story creates a limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
And if with all of these old stories, traumas, and limiting beliefs, they actually cause holes in our energetic field. And we can relate this to psychology because if we take brain scans of someone who has a major traumatic event, we bring them back to the traumatic event either through hypnosis or whatever, you can actually see the holes, the pockets that have not healed from that trauma in their brain scan. And so that was interesting to me of like, okay, so our physical body is creating these events and creating these kind of holes, and which it makes trauma makes it difficult for us to create physical boundaries with people. We see it all the time with like physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
People go into another physical abusive relationship until they break their old story, break their limiting belief. And so we see it that way. But with energy, we don't necessarily talk about it that much. But there are holes in our energetic field. And so if you have holes in your actual like aura, is what people call it, or your energetic field, it's very difficult for you to close it to create a boundary. And so that's what's like really important is that when we focus on energetic boundaries, if you have old beliefs or limiting beliefs, old stories or traumas that you haven't dealt with, then it's going to be very difficult for you to create energetic boundaries because of all the holes that you have.
Like
So
Swiss
for
cheese.
me,
It's like Swiss cheese.
yeah, that's like what I've been studying. And if you can see auras, like I can see people's auras, you can actually like see the holes in their aura, and like you can pinpoint which chakra is blocked. And then from there, you can kind of pinpoint the age that this block came. And usually it's a traumatic event. And so then if we can kind of get to the root of this traumatic event, which some people will go into, like we were just saying, changing your limiting belief, which will then change an old story, which will then heal a traumatic event. And some people choose that lineage. Other people need to go directly to the traumatic event to then heal an old story to then create a new limiting belief. And so you have to figure out what your personality is and what lineage you need to use and then you can start working on your boundaries. And so I think people focus on boundaries and they're like, I don't get it. It's not working. It's not working. It's because you haven't actually healed the trauma that took away this boundary for you.
That is so interesting, and I love hearing this. It's something that I love, connecting with other coaches and other aspects, and just hearing, because it's something that I've been doing, but I didn't have the psychology background of understanding it. It's something a lot of with my clients lately, I've been talking about, because you say something and it's not getting through. And what's that old adage is like, do something over and over again and expect a different a result, is like the definition of insanity. And so it's,
yeah,
you can say something, and then what happens is, and they're not doing it, or they're not getting it, and then they beat up on themselves, and then it repeats the pattern and the habit. And so what I've been doing now, and it's funny because I consider it like nutritional therapy, really, because what it is we go far back. It's like, when was the last time you felt shame? Right? Let's go back to the last time you felt shame. Let's close your eyes.
yeah,
Let's move into that space and begin to really allow you in this safe space, because you're no longer having
yeah,
to actually be in that space where you felt the shame,
that,
but we're in this safe space. Let's go back and feel that and see what's happening. Let's see. Jennifer says, I have traumatic pregnancies and deliveries. How do we heal that kind of trauma? I think I have carried them for years and years.
Jennifer, I had a traumatic birth as well. Like, I mean, I gave birth to a child and it was traumatic. And so I really can relate to that. And for me, it took a while to get through that. I think that is one of the most intense, because when you, especially if you're like an alternative person, if you're in a conscious community, like you're conscious about things, and you probably had this vision of this beautiful birth, and maybe it was a water birth. I don't know what your vision was, but I'm sure it was not the vision that was created, because that's what happened to me. And one of the best things that I did was grounding down and making, because that's your root chakra. That's going to go right into your root chakra, is that traumatic pregnancy. And if you hold on to it, you're almost going to have PTSD from it. And so, and like when people start talking about their pregnancy or like their birth plan, you're going to be like, well, that's not going to work. And it's not going to be something you're negative. It's because of what your experience was. And I know for me, it was just really focusing on grounding and connecting to Mother Earth. And again, like we were just saying, feeling safe and supported, going back into the traumatic event. Now, some people can go back into a traumatic event by themselves and it's fine. Others, like I would recommend that you get some sort of support, either like regression therapist or somebody that can support you through that process, because it can be really traumatic to go deep into a trauma if you're not fully kind of emotionally like just really, really supported in your own emotions. And to go back into the drama and feel safe and supported within it, and know that you've done everything you could to make it the way you wanted to happen. And just grounding in general has been super helpful with me with dealing with traumas and clients as well.
I think that's something that, that's another thing that came up this new moon, was this idea of support and community, and this idea that like, I don't want to do it all alone anymore. Like for once, for a long time ago, not even that long ago, but like for my whole life, I've had this story. It's like, I don't need anybody else. I can do it myself. Like, I'm strong enough. Like, I don't need you to carry my bag. And I think that like I'm done with that old story. Like, I am done with that story. That's why I'm like, hey girl, let me talk to you, Sarah. Help me work through this thing. Like, having a community of support, and like, really realizing that we all have these gifts in these different areas and aspects of expertise. And when you just reach out, whether it's to you or someone else, it's like this opportunity to be like, hey girl, you're really good at holding space in this way. Can you help me in X, Y, or Z? Which I think is really, really, really beautiful. And Jen, maybe you connect with Sarah, and maybe she can talk with you about how she works through with her clients through that type of an event.
Yeah. I think one of the main thing when working with trauma, any sort of trauma, is just making sure that you feel safe and supported. And for me, doing that with a grounding practice, just getting out onto the earth and connecting with the earth, is because you actually are physically being supported, because you're like on a physical ground that will not cave away. And so you can actually just feel safe and supported just by standing on the ground, because we know that it's there to support us. And I think that's a really, really cool way to kind of bring that into the rest of your life. And it helps with dealing with trauma. But using some sort of like trauma regression therapist, they're really helpful. And doing that sort of therapy with you. And I think that it doesn't take that many sessions. I think people get worried like they're going to get stuck and they're going to have to do like 400 sessions to go. And I'm like, if you're actually going to someone who wants you to move through, like it shouldn't take that long for you to move through this and get through it. A good therapist doesn't want to keep you forever because they want you to give you the tools so that eventually for new traumas, because we're all going to have new shit, you can move through them on your own. And that's what I do. I'm sure you do the same. Is like, I give you the tools so that you can do this on your own. I don't want to be here.
I don't want to hold your hand forever. I want to empower you yeah.
I would feel bad if you had to stay with me for like years and years and years. Like, I'm not doing my job then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like any good coach, you know, like you walk with them as far as they need you to walk with them, and then you push them whenever they need to be pushed, you know. It's something that I often talk with my clients about, and whoever's watching, whenever you know, like let's say that there's an intense situation, maybe it's a work situation, maybe it's maybe there's somebody in your household that's going through a lot, and like you just know that like they just have bad energy right now, or you can just feel it, like every time you get around them, you like, I don't want to be around this person. One thing that I've really worked on, and this is with myself as well, is just setting an energetic boundary, like literally just being like, okay, here's my bubble. And when I'm in my own space, I feel fulfilled. I feel amazing. It feels incredible. And now I'm going to take and literally with my hand, create a bubble to where they're inside this circle of myself. I am now protected, so that anything that comes my way, whether it's a negative attitude, a negative person, whatever it is, I am aware of it and I don't allow it to penetrate inside me. I have a choice because I intentionally chose that this is my bubble, and the space that encompasses this bubble, I have a choice over. And so when I create this bubble, it doesn't matter who's doing what or how they're doing it. It's like, that's your shit. This is my shit, you know, like, and it doesn't matter, even if you're super negative and you want, like, you know, misery loves company. So people who are just going through a shit time, they want to like bitch about how they're going through a shit time all the time. And it's like, listen, I hear you. I see that you're uncomfortable right now. I'm really sorry that you're going through that. Let me know if I can help you, you know?
And like, I think when you get really strong in it, and like you get really strong with like kind of creating your own energetic boundary, I find that like people aren't coming to me with negative shit anymore.
Agreed.
Or I mean, like when I was sitting I was sitting in Barrio Cafe, which is a restaurant, just like a week ago, and there's always these like beggars that come in, and they come in and ask for money. And for me, like I don't mind giving money to people, but I don't want to give money to somebody that I know lives in a nice house, that I know like this is their job to beg, which like I'm really aware of those people because I've lived in San Juan for 7 years. Like I know which ones are actually like in need and which ones are just bullshitting you. So I'm sitting in the cafe, and like this woman comes up, and I know who she is. I see her every day. Like she doesn't need any money for any medical. By the way, medical is free. So like you don't need money. And she comes in, and I was like, no, I'm not available for this. She asked every single person in the restaurant for money except me. And I was like, because I created this energetic boundary of like, no, not available. And like, I think that if we can get strong enough to create these boundaries, which is like dealing with our own shit as well, that people won't even approach you. You'll see people walk towards you in the grocery store and turn right back around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's so true. And that's even something that goes even deeper to like, so we are all energy, right? This is something we've talked about a lot. It's like, we are all energy. We're carrying a certain frequency. We're carrying a certain vibration. And whenever you are in harmony with someone, whenever you're connecting with someone, like we're connecting right now, we are sharing this energy. Like you're vibrating here, I'm vibrating here. We come together and we vibrate here. And if there is harmony in our frequencies and our vibration, there will be a beautiful, nice, fluid flow will be a nice conversation. It will be a nice energy. People will come into this conversation if they're resonating, if they're vibrating, if this is what they're calling in. Intentional, right? If you're calling in, if every morning you wake up and you set your intention and you're calling in, you're asking the universe can't give you if you don't ask. If you don't ask for what you're calling in, if you're just waking up every day going with emotions and, oh, here's another day, and then wondering why you're not where you want to be, you have to ask, and then you have to realize that the universe is going to give it to you in whatever way. It might not be the way that you expect it to be given to you, but when you put your energy out there, then the universe is going to find vibrational matches to you, whether it's in jobs or people or connections or whatever it is. And so we begin to match on these vibrational frequencies. And I really resonate with what you said of like certain people, they just don't come around me anymore. Like drama, it's not in my sphere anymore. I can't even tell you how many years it's been since I've had drama.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It's, I mean, and I think a cool way for me to like practice energy, because we can talk about, okay, we're going to surround ourselves with white light or whatever, but I think it's hard for people to imagine that there is energy around us and there are fields around everybody. And if you can actually, everybody has a different frequency. There are frequency testers that are like, you know, this is science, and we can go and check people's frequency and we can see that people are on different frequencies. Like, it's just like music. There's different frequencies in music. We can see that there is some sort of energy. And a cool thing that I've been doing is like actually create an energy ball. Have you done that?
No, tell me about it.
So if you're a healer, you do energy work like of actual like with people, right?
Yeah.
And like for me, when I start to do Reiki with people, I can actually, my hands will actually do this weird thing where they'll just like turn into a tool and they'll actually creak. It's a very odd, that's the only way I can explain it, is it like, it almost like I can like turn them in like notches. Like it's very odd.
Oh, wow.
And it only when I like am like, okay, I'm going to use my energy, right? Or like use universal energy and bring it in. So you can do that with yourself where you create like an energetic ball. Then you can actually like push that energetic ball, like you can put whatever energy you want in it, push it into you, and then that will kind of radiate out of you. And so basically what you do is you're going to sit there and you're going to breathe and you're going to meditate, and you're going to start to feel, once you start meditating, you're going to start to feel kind of like a pulse and a heat. And it'll actually start to feel like you're holding a ball. And you can kind of bring it out. And as you bring it out, you can kind of feel, and like as you try to push it in, you'll feel the resistance. And you can start to feel kind of like how you're expanding this energy. And like for me right now, this is when my hands start to creak. And so for you, it might be something different. Like your hands may start to heat up. They may start, everybody has a different way that their energy comes to them. And then you can actually just create this ball. And like, it's really cool if you can do it with somebody else. Like if you're in the same room and you can actually push your ball out and then start pushing out. And you can actually, if you were here right now, you could feel that there was some sort of resistance and you couldn't break my energy field. Unless I was like, okay, yeah, you're allowed in. And then you can actually like push that energy. If you're like wanting more love, you can actually just push that energy into your body. And for me, I feel like goosebumps, almost like feeling like, I don't know how to describe it. And you can push that energy into you. And I think that's a really good way to start practicing how to get your energetic field so that you can create energetic boundaries, is actually feeling the energy and practicing with other people, feeling their energy and feeling what kind of connection you create with people and how both energies can kind of flow in the same space. And how you can also feel resistance with people. And that's just really, really interesting to me, as that some people will just float right in, and others you actually feel a resistant because you don't want to allow their energy in. There's something about them that you can't allow their energy in. And so then that's something for you to look at and be like, okay, what's going on that I don't want this person's energy.
Wow, I love that tool. That's actually something that too, when I have done this before with clients, is rubbing their hands. Because some people in the beginning, I know for me, it was like I was like, I kind of feel it, not really. I was too much in my head. So like literally rubbing my hands and then slowly separating it. and then pushing it
Mm-hmm.
together and separating it and pushing it together. And then like really again, it's like almost like I imagine like sticky tack, like gum when you pull gum away. It's like this like yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah. It's really powerful. And I like to do that to help see like where the boundaries you can create and see, and then you can see what kind of boundaries other people have. Like if you touch someone, you can see like they get like tense, like you're in their physical realm, or people that are kind of like so like that are open, they're like really relaxed, they give you a hug, like you can tell the difference of people that are like really uncomfortable and like their energetic boundary is like they're not sure what that is. And
Hmm.
I feel like people are comfortable, they're like I don't know how to create a boundary so that people don't like touch me in a way that I feel uncomfortable or come at me in a way I feel uncomfortable. And that's why creating these energetic boundaries is so important so that people are aware of how you want to be treated.
Hmm.
I think that's a big thing with boundaries. And like we can say a boundary, but we see that once we say and we say and we say, people still break it. It's because we're not actually using our energy to back up the boundary. We're just saying something. And that's another thing with like affirmations and stuff. When you just say it, there's no energy behind it. It doesn't matter. It's still you're still not feeling it in your body. And that's what Abraham Hicks talked about. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Like it's not about saying, it's about the feelings of it.
I'm curious for people who are trying to change their, you know, set clearer boundaries with themselves and with others. What would you, what's a practice that you give to your clients for people who are like, okay, yeah, I get the affirmations, but I'm not really feeling it. What's something other than like holding the energy in your hand and putting it into you? Is there anything else that you would recommend for people who are really trying to maybe work at it from that angle of trying to really believe that which they really want to be true?
Yeah, I think starting out small, like if you are a big thing for me is like creating a affirmation or like a goal even that's really really small, like I want someone to bring me a coffee today. And I think that like because that's something that's very likely can happen, you can see it happen, like you may not know how it's going to happen, but you can get in the energy of like I want a coffee or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, a drink, whatever, you know. And I think if we can get in the energy of these really small kind of like insignificant things and set affirmations of like someone's going to bring me a coffee today, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why, whatever, and then someone eventually probably someone's going to bring you a coffee, if that's like if you can get into that energy, then you can see like, oh, okay, I can believe that now. Because I think if we set these big affirmations of like, I'm enough, that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's really hard if for like 30 years you haven't felt enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can even say to yourself, I'm enough for someone to bring me a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And just create that space. And eventually you'll create this space and it'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you can start creating boundaries from those affirmations, from changing those limiting beliefs, changing the old story, and then healing the trauma as like we can then start to create these boundaries that feel really good to us.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I definitely feel like that's huge when it comes to just aligning with the, like, it's really about trust, you know, like if you can allow yourself to be held by the universe in whatever way, and then you trust that you are being held by the universe, and then you let go, and then you just put it out there, like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Like, I am a creator. I am divine. I am God, goddess, whatever it is. I'm going to put it out there. It's going to happen. And then it moves
Yeah.
back into you, and then it starts happening. And then you begin to trust even more. You begin to trust
Yeah.
yourself. You begin to trust the universe. You begin to trust that who you bring into your sphere, because you're aware now of who you're letting into your sphere and who you're not letting
Yeah.
into your sphere, which I think is really huge.
I think, and a big thing too is like, this is like a simple example. I rented a car, and so I needed to figure out how to get the car there and then take like a Uber or something to the next place. But I don't have like a phone right now. I only can connect to Wi-Fi because I didn't buy a SIM card. So I was like, well, this rental car place either has to have Wi-Fi or I have to figure out how to get an Uber to my next destination, right? And then I was like trying to like just all this how, right? And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the rental place and I'll figure out when I get there. I get to the rental car place and they're like, where can we give you a ride to?
Yeah.
And it was just a simple, like, it was very simple of me just letting go and trusting. And we don't have to have these huge things we're gonna like trust into the universe. Like, that is so difficult. But if you can say, like, I'm gonna get a parking space when I pull up into the grocery store,
Yes.
like those creating those simple expectations for the universe and sending those out, and seeing them happen are so much easier. And like that's what I do with clients. It's like we're going to work on this energy thing, and you can see these small little things that will start, then you can start trusting, you can start letting go more of the big things. But I think it's difficult when people come in and like, I want to have $50,000 in my bank by tomorrow, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know if you can get behind that energy of that feeling. Like,
Yeah.
if you've never experienced the universe before and how it can just provide, it's really hard to get into the feeling of something super big when you're not actually willing to let go of that energy.
Yeah, and I think that, you said it right there is like the affirmation of the universe, right? It's like you can say your own affirmations, but then getting in alignment with the universe and like realizing that the universe has its affirmations. I think that that's super, super powerful.
Yeah.
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 Sweet. Well, is there anything, Mindful Mondays is about like, I feel like we've done a pretty good job about giving people tips, practical tips and tools to begin to understand, number one, understand energy. Number two, hey, Carly, good to see you. So we've been going over what is energy and how it actually affects us physically, mentally, and emotionally. We've talked about different energetic practices that people can do in order to begin to really feel this and not just think, oh yeah,
Yeah.
energy, it sounds like a good idea, but actually practically apply it from a physical
Yeah.
realm as also a mental, emotional realm. We've talked about the psychology of it, how it's actually backed by what people have been studying. I'm curious if there's
Yeah.
anything else that you feel that would be a really great kind of takeaway for our audience today as they begin their start of their week.
I think a good takeaway is to start working on those limiting beliefs, and to start just looking at these beliefs that you have, these set beliefs that you have, and actually looking at them and seeing where they originated from and where they're created. Because this is a really good way to start with energetic boundaries.
Mm,
It's changing these beliefs that we have. And sometimes they're really, really small, and those are the most difficult ones. But if you can just start working on these big beliefs that you have, looking into the origin of them. Did I make up this belief? Is this belief from me? Or did I pick this up from society, from my mom, from my dad, from, an old boyfriend? Like, whose belief was this? Is it mine? And if it's not yours, see if it's true anymore.
yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing, is like, if you're holding on to these beliefs of people are always going to come in and steal from me, or I'm always going to be in an abusive relationship, like, you can't create an energetic boundary to not allow that in if the belief is there. And so you can start to see, what is this belief that I have? And I think that's the biggest way, is to start with boundaries, energetic boundaries, is start changing those beliefs. And before you start changing them, just look at them.
Yeah, being
Look at them.
aware of them, that they're there, that they're present, and that they're creating the reality that you're perceiving to be true, whether you're aware of it or
Yes.
not.
Yes. Exactly. And that's pretty mindful, right?
That's super mindful. Super mindful. Yes, I love it. Awesome. I think it's
Yeah.
it's something that's so powerful. And Sarah, I'd love to have you, as much as you have so much amazing, like I said, I love watching you, and whether you're pulling cards or whether you're very mindful in and of yourself. And like, it's the thing
Yeah.
that, there's like listening to the heart, which you can't always describe what's going on in here. You can't always describe energy. Like, truly you can try, but a word doesn't really understand like the energy that is being passed between two beings. Can you really explain it when you're super present with someone, when you feel that they're not anywhere else other than right there? Can you explain that? And I think that this is something that intuitively we all know, intuitively we all
Yeah.
have within us, but yet the logical mind tries to tell us otherwise and tries to say, hey, that's not real. It's only real if you can let me know on a verbiage way of what's really going on. And I think
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it's hard. I think energy is really hard to explain.
Yeah. But it's powerful, and we all know it. Like, love is one of the most powerful things in this world. And we've all felt love in some way, shape, or form or another. And like, try to tell
Yeah.
a scientist how to describe love. Yeah, they might be able to tell you what part of the brain lights up. But like, when you actually, how do you describe love? But yet we all know it's
Yeah.
there, and we all know it's true. And it's really, I think, about moving beyond ourselves or our perceived, our own perceptions of what self is or what reality is, and really just tapping into that, effortless flow of ease that we all deep down, no matter where we are, know is the reality.
Yeah. And I think too with creating energetic boundaries is like working on those limiting beliefs first, because if you've never actually felt real love, which there are some people who grew up in really dysfunctional with families and then probably went into a dysfunctional relationships with friends, like it is difficult to describe that energy if you've never actually felt it, because I know that there are people who haven't actually felt it. And so if you can start to shift those limiting beliefs, which will help create energetic boundaries, which will allow real love in, it's like that is super powerful. And in itself is like looking at your limiting beliefs and seeing what is your belief around love? What is that? Do you have to give it in order to receive it? You know, is it something that you can just receive and you have to give nothing? And I mean, that's what I think, but I know a lot of people, their love is an exchange because that's all they've known,
Mm-hmm.
which that isn't really the reality. Love is just always there for us to receive, whether or not we give it. And I think that's like really important, is to see what are your beliefs behind these kind of big things of love and peace and tranquility. Like what are these beliefs behind these like big words that we use all the time in like our conscious spiritual communities?
Mm.
What are your beliefs in this, and what boundaries are you setting for these?
And are you even aware of the beliefs? And if you're not, there's no way that you can set the boundaries.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's why you got to work with the guy so we can tell you what your limiting beliefs are.
Exactly. And that's something I'm actually writing an article. I'm in the process of writing an article, like 3 reasons why hiring a coach is the best thing you'll ever do for yourself. And it doesn't matter, like we hire business coaches. Some people hire health coaches. Some people hire intuitive coaches. Some people hire, like football or baseball or whatever, sports coaches. And I think that it's really about reaching out, and it's really about reaching out for help, and knowing that, like, again, the universe is here to support you. And the more that you invest in yourself and reaching out to help for others in whatever area or aspect of your life that you might not feel as though you are your highest and best self, I know that I become better whenever somebody helps coach me through some area or aspect of my life that I don't have, the knowledge or the tools, and I just need some help. And it's so amazing to realize that we don't have to do it all, that there are so many people who are out there ready to help us, that we have it within ourselves, but sometimes we just need a road or a guide or a map to help us get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like for me, I'm always working with I always have a mentor or coach. Like I don't really ever go without, because it's just when new things come up for me all the time.
Yeah.
And like even if it's just like tapping into more of my gift, I'm like, oh wait, I don't really know what this means. Like I'm really confused with this feeling. Like what is this? And being able to talk and communicate with someone that has a perspective that's not just your friend, but is that someone that's sort of like one step ahead of you, is really, really important. And even with health stuff, like I reach out to people all the time, like I'm getting really confused. I thought this was one way for me and now it's going another way. Like what's going on with my body? Because I'm sometimes you can't look within.
Sometimes you're so deep in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're so deep in it, you don't know what's up and what's down. It's like I'm so in it that I need someone to pull me out of it so that I can really see what I'm not seeing.
Yeah, and they tell you probably the same shit you've read 500 times that never clicked.
Yeah.
And then they tell you like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Good morning, Marina. I see you hopping on here. Well, we're just about to wrap up actually, but I think this was super fabulous. I think a lot of people will be able to understand a little bit more about themselves, how limiting beliefs are actually not creating rather energetic boundaries or energetic holes that things can come into your sphere that you're not really connecting to or not trying to pull in. The power of intention, the power of observation, the power of mindfulness, and the power of honestly hiring people or connecting with people. Maybe you don't even have to hire them, but in whatever way, shape, or form, connecting with people around you who have that which you're seeking. You talked about mentorship. Like find someone who inspires you. Find someone who has something in any aspect. If there's an aspect of yourself or your life that you are looking, that you are inspired by, that you want to have more of, go find that person and ask how they did it or what they did it, or if it's their profession, go connect with them. One thing that I think is the most important thing ever is investing in yourself, and in whatever way, shape, or form. That could be time, that could be energy, that could be money. This right here, choosing to listen to this and to spend
Yeah.
Mindful Monday listening to this, and whether you practice it or not, that is an investment. And I think that the more that
Yeah.
we start to look at this place, this time as an energy investment, the better we're going to be able to get a return, because we're going to really start to see these shifts happening, and we're going to all start to help each other create the lives that we want instead of the lives that we just have ended up with.
I agree.
Yes. All right. Well, I look forward to the next time that you have something beautiful to share.
I
Um,
love your ears. They're so beautiful.
Thank you.
I've been like looking at them.
I made them. I made them when I was in India. I welded
I love
them, and they're
it.
with
Oh,
moonstone.
really?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, see, it's so great to have these beautiful connections where people just make you feel so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next time. We have a podcast. It's called Women Waking Up. I might even put this on a podcast show. I feel like this can be something that everybody can tap into, and this is all mindfulness is about waking up. So if you guys are interested, we have a bunch of different other episodes on our podcast. It's with two other beautiful women, empowered women, and we talk about everything from gut health to detox to intuitive energy to getting naked and everything else in between. So if you guys are interested in connecting with Sarah or I, you can reach out to us on the comments below. You can PM us if you want to, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about today. If you guys are interested in the podcast, you guys can check it out on YouTube. We are Women Waking Up. And is there anything else, Sarah, that you feel inspired to share?
I don't think so. But if you have any questions on energy work, you can message me.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much again for tuning in and making my Monday so much more mindful. And again, thank you. Truly, it's so nice to have a shared space held where, I mean, you and I have been bouncing things off one another since we met. We're like, hey, girl, help us sister out,
Yeah.
and it's just so amazing to be able to come together and share this experience and help all of the community here tap into their energetic nature.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
You're beautiful.
Oh, you are too. All right, got it. So see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.